Hi, everyone. It's Tony Martinez with the CDPE. Thank you for joining us as we continue our CDPE Advanced Marketing Program training series. Now, this program is open to everyone, not just the agents that already have the advanced program, but we do want you to make full use of all of the tools and just everything that's available in this amazing package. If you're not yet part of the advanced package, it's not too late. And at the very end, our esteemed guest here today is going to show you how you can get involved. But Brandon Lauder and I go back many, many years. I'm going to give him an embarrassing introduction because we've become even closer. He's like a brother to me now. But when I acquired the CDP a couple of years ago, I started getting emails from everybody, right? So I get this email from Brandon Lauder, and it says, "Hey man, Tony, how are you? I'm so glad." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, were you a CDPE?" And Brandon goes, "Dude, I was an instructor. You taught me. Remember CIAS and all that?" I'm going, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm so sorry." And I'll never live that down to this day, nor should I. But almost immediately, Brandon and I started collaborating because no sooner did I acquire the CDPE, Brandon acquired the CIAS. So make note of that. For you OGs, for you that were CDPs back in the day, you know that the CDP also came out with a sister designation called the Certified Investor Agent Specialist. And that one was also a major hit, and Brandon was the lead instructor for that. Well, it's only natural that he be the one to acquire it and bring it back, and he has. So for those of you that are interested in finding out more, make sure you reach out to Brandon about that. And Brandon and I are already discussing that we're going to offer specials for reciprocating, right? Because there's going to be CISs that want to be CDPEs and vice versa. So we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to have both designations. But the reason why Brandon is here today is because he plays an integral role in our advanced program, because all of those wonderful marketing tools that once a month magically pop up in your dashboard, 12 different items that you can use to build your business. Guess who puts all those together? Brandon and his team. And there's a lot of these tools that are not being used to their fullest, especially the items that have to do with social media. So I thought, let's get Brandon on a call and let him share exactly what you're receiving every single month as an advanced member and how you can use it to its fullest. So with no further ado, everyone, we have Brandon Lauder. Brandon, you're on, brother.
Hey, thank you, Tony, man. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you that have joined us for this little webinar today. Tony, I'm going to read a quote, or did he already take off? Tony left?
I'm here.
Hey, what do you think of that quote down there? Agents have become dependent on a motivated market instead of learning how to motivate the market.
It's dead on, brother. It's dead on. We were kind of spoiled over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we got this wake-up call, and a lot of folks have been slow to pivot, and they're struggling. There's no doubt that right now business is down, production is down, and people are struggling. But what a great opportunity when you have the right tools, the right resources, and if you have the right motivation, you can go out there and take a lead in your market.
Absolutely, 100%. So our topic today is social media marketing simplified. And I kind of added 2 words there, sort of, and I'll make more sense of that as we go through the training. But again, welcome everyone. I know, to Tony's point, that the real estate market is a little different than what we might have been used to for the last few years, but there's still a ton of opportunity out there on a lot of different levels. But we're going to stay the course, and we're going to talk specifically about social media today. If you could, real quick, just to see who's paying attention in the chat, just give me a yes or a no if you're currently a CDPE advanced member. All right. We got a few yeses and a few no's. So great. We got some diversity here. So we appreciate that. So we're going to spend time just concentrating on social media today. We're going to tie that into some tools and resources that I think will be helpful. But we're going to start off with some statistics, and I'm going to give you some nuggets along the way. So for those of you who don't subscribe to The Close, I would encourage you to subscribe or at least go to their website, theclose.com. They're not only good information for us real estate professionals, but they also provide us resources for exactly what we're going to talk about today, and that's staying engaged with our audience. So how will real estate agents grow their business in 2023? Well, we're already into August. And if you look at 80% improve social media presence, you look at the next column, improve your CRM and email marketing. The third one there, creating marketing videos, direct mail, and your website. So not a lot has changed, except what happens when you're in a really good market is you just forget all of the fundamentals that get you the business that you would like to have. And so the reason we're bringing this up is because I think it's critical that we start recognizing where opportunities are, and more importantly, where we are. Which particular social networks are important for real estate agents? Number one is Facebook, believe it or not. Number two is Instagram. The third there is YouTube. YouTube and TikTok seem to be a very, very up and coming opportunity for most of us. And we'll dive into that here shortly as well. And then what marketing tactics got real estate agents their new clients? So still at the top by far are referrals. This is very much tied to how do you stay in touch with your database? How do you nurture your database? And more importantly, are you sending them information that is valuable to them, right? And we're going to dive into that too as well. Posting on social media was the number two at 38%, and running Facebook ads, believe it or not, was 18%. So in between there are buying leads. You guys can, I'm sure, have some familiarity with buying leads. It's pretty interesting that how that space has worked for quite some time. But let me just give you the demographics on social media real quick. So this is the demographics of people 12 years or older across the US, broken down into the age demographics, 12 to 34, 35 to 54, and 55 and older. Now, the first trick question I have for you is, do you truly understand the demographics of your real estate business, where you are in your market? I will tell you, for the most part, our market here in Southern California is those bottom two there, age 35 all the way up. And so where are they mostly looking on social media? And you can see Facebook is still very, very large. If you break this down, what is interesting though, if you go from 2022 to 2023, Facebook has actually lost some of its share. Instagram has gained, as well as TikTok, a little bit of Twitter, but you see Snapchat and Pinterest actually taking a little bit step down. Again, a couple different reasons for that. So which one do you guys use the most? Here's what I think gets real interesting, because we're trying to simplify things, but the first thing I want to do is give you some perspective. So how many of you in the chat, Facebook is what you use most of the time? Yes. Just shoot out a yes that Facebook is your primary go-to. Okay. For those of you that are Instagram, put in a yes. So you can see how mixed it is, those primary two. And I'm going to stop there because the other ones seem to be kind of intertwined with what we're doing. What we're finding though is this can be a time suck. Now, if you really want to and have some engagement here, I would love for you to just put a number in the chat, how many hours a day you spend on social media and any of these spaces currently. Let's see what those numbers are. How much time do you spend on social media? I got 2 hours, I got 4 hours, half hour, 2 hours, about an hour. And if you're not sure, most of our phones these days, you can actually look at your settings to see. And so right now, nationally, our age group, which is pretty much 35 or older, they spend an average of 2 hours a day on social media, whichever version of this. So here's what I want you to take note of. I want you to find a way in your routine. So if you're primarily a Facebook user or an Instagram user, then this should be really easy for you. And then the question becomes, which other two of these platforms can you get really, really good at? LinkedIn and YouTube are probably the next go-to as far as business, in my opinion. There are a lot of people now who use YouTube as a search engine rather than going straight to Google or Bing or any of the other platforms. But more importantly, I want you to recognize that each one of these platforms has a different demographic and a different use. And I'll use LinkedIn as an example. LinkedIn primarily is a business to business type of a network, right? So it's really important that you recognize when it comes to how I'm going to use any of these platforms, what the message is, the content that I'm putting in as an example. All of those things are critical. So what does this look like? And if you were to look today at any one of these algorithms and ask the question of each one of these businesses, what is the best way for me to get the most I can out of any of these platforms? And if you just start with Facebook, 3 times a week, optimal is 1 time a day, better combination with a post and a story 1 time a day, and at least 1 boost or an ad per week. And I'm going to break down the differences here in a minute, but I want you to just take a peek at each one of these because they're all unique. Now you go to Instagram 3 times per week, optimal is 1 time per day. There's a correlation there because Instagram is owned by Facebook, and you now have the ability in Facebook to share at the same time over to Instagram and vice versa. Some of you know that, some of you don't. You look at TikTok, 3 times a day. It's most optimal 3 times a day. You can run ads, it gets pretty costly, but again, a completely different target audience. You look at LinkedIn, the recommendation is 2 times a week, optimal is 1 times per day. Post in the morning, ads can be expensive, important to follow and share. YouTube, primarily videos only. That's where the traction is. That's what people are going to YouTube for. If you're not familiar with the shorts is their version of an Instagram story or a Facebook story or a TikTok reel. So these are all examples of the direction these platforms are going, and video seems to be one of those things that is gaining a lot of traction. Longer videos are better for the optimization and the algorithms that are in YouTube. Now, when you drop to Pinterest, if you guys do Pinterest, which is great, a minimum of 1 pin per day. It's better to have 3 to 5 pins a day, but optimal 10 to 25 pins per day. And I'm sure you're asking yourself, Brandon, this is supposed to be social media simplified. Well, guys, social media can be a full-time job, right? Now you get to X. Twitter used to be Twitter. Now it's called X. Minimum 1 tweet a day, better for 3 to 6 per day. Optimal is 15 to 25 tweets per day. So if you go back to the numbers that you put in the chat, how much time you spend on social media, now the question becomes the time you spend on social media every day, how much of it is you looking and shopping compared to you actually posting and working your social media? And you don't need to answer that in the chat, but I want you to start thinking about these things. Now, you have to have some kind of a baseline. So for those of you who especially have Facebook, I would assume most of us do you understand the difference between a personal page and a business page? Do you have both? Is there anyone on this call who does not have a business Facebook page? Put a little, either raise your hand or give me a little something in the chat just so I can see. Anyone? Okay. So the differences between the two, right, are extremely important. And we're going to get into that in a second. How many people follow you? And do you know that? Is it important for you to gain followers? Yes or no? It should be. You're trying to grow your brand, you're trying to grow your audience, but you need to understand what your baseline is. Do people engage or share your posts? Now reflect back, and if you can't think of any or you don't know how that works, I would encourage you to just at least do a little bit of a deep dive on your Facebook as an example and see how many people are sharing your posts. Can anyone unmute and tell me why they think having content shareable is important?
Gets the word out more.
Gets the word out more. Exactly, Donna, right? And so one of the biggest challenges that we have in social media today is the type of content and the message that we're sending out. Now, how many of you have kids or grandkids? Right? And they're the cutest, most handsome, prettiest people around the planet, right? And that's how we think of things. So we are constantly thinking that the message we're conveying and the message that we're putting out is what everybody wants to see and read. And what I want you to start realizing right now is that you need to pay attention to how people are engaging and responding to your posts, and you need to use that as a learning lesson. So are you encouraging someone to share your post as an example on the image or in the copy that you're writing? So it's critical that you're inviting them to do it, not just waiting for it to happen. Are you balancing both your business posts and your personal posts? How many of you who are on social media and you pay attention to people that are on social media, how many of you recognize someone you follow who has a very balanced formula where you get a little bit of their personal life, a little bit of their personal space, and you also get an idea of what they do in business, compared to someone who's just all business or all personal? Well, if you're the type of person like myself, I'm not saying it's judgmental. What I'm saying, though, is I'm gauging whether I want to do business with you by what your post looks like and what the history of your posts are conveying to me. And so it's really important that you think in those terms. I remember when our kids were applying for college a few years ago, and I was really amazed at how many colleges, part of the application process was they reviewed those kids' social medias. They're trying to get a gauge of the type of individual and the character of that individual. So is it the same for you? Here's a nugget. Instead of you trying to figure it out, ask some of your peers and your friends, hey, put your real estate hat on, go to my Facebook group, my Facebook business page, or my Instagram business page, and give me some feedback. This is your opportunity right now to kind of just start fresh and start paying attention to what people think and feel so that you can start making some of these changes if you need to make those changes. What are your goals for social media? And again, this can be across the board, but what we're trying to do is just to make it simple. You have to have a foundation to build on. So do we want to increase our followers? Do we want to increase brand awareness? Are we trying to drive traffic to our website? I'm sure there's a few people on here would like a few more leads, right? Are we trying to grow our brand audience? Are we trying to improve community outreach? There are several ways that you can leverage social media, but it has to tie in with who you are and what you like to do. And the reason why that's important is you're going to have a tendency to want to do things that you like to do. But you have to remember that posting and doing videos in a certain setting, if you're expecting a return on that, you need to be thinking about, am I setting that post or that video up for that success that I'm looking for? So what are the goals that I have? Who's your target audience? Are you specifically going after buyers, sellers, investors, and everyone that they know? Do you have a message or a plan to attract them? So these are all questions that I think that you need to just think about before you just start arbitrarily going out there. Can anyone unmute and tell me the difference between a post and a story?
A story stays for a set time. Post stays on your screen. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So I have a YouTube show. We get tons of views to it. We get 50, 60,000 views on a clip.
Okay.
But we're not getting the actual followers, which is so annoying. And we can't figure out what we're doing, why we're getting so many views, but we can't get the followers to subscribe.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joseph. And if you wouldn't mind, would you mind maybe private message me in the chat what the YouTube channel is, and I'd be more than happy to take a peek at it.
Yeah, if I know how to do that, I would.
If not, then let's stay till the end and I'll get the information from you, because I'd love to be able to give you some feedback on that.
Okay, you got it. All right, I think I just did.
Okay. And then to my point, have you asked anyone else what, for feedback on your channel as well, and what kind of responses have you gotten?
I mean, it's really ridiculous. I where I work for Keller Williams, and actually, Keller Williams came over to me and said, Joe, I'm getting people that are coming over to me and say, you got a guy in your office who does a YouTube show and everybody watches it, but no one, and I've asked people, keeps saying, we watch it, I watch at my lunch break, I watch this, that, but they don't subscribe. And I have to tell them, did you subscribe? And they're like, no, I'll subscribe. And we see
Right.
it in every show, twice
Right.
or please like, comment, subscribe below. And they're not doing it. It's very, very aggravating.
Yeah, it's almost like a byproduct to a certain degree of it feels like where our society is going to a little bit. There's a lot of I want for free and I don't want to reciprocate anything. Then there's this whole entertaining aspect of things. If you guys go back just to TikTok, TikTok is just one of the fastest growing. There's a ton of videos, but for the most part, it's purely entertainment. And so you have to make a decision on sometimes what it is that you're offering. Sometimes we offer things of value for free, and that's okay, right? But more importantly, when we get back into what the message is and what we want them to do is one of the most critical things. All right, so back to post and story and why this is important. An Instagram feed, which also is the same as a Facebook post, is evergreen, which means it stays in your profile forever. This is ideal for engagement. This is ideal for reach, especially with new audiences. More importantly, this is really good for people who want to go to your page and help get an identity of who you are. What are some of the things that you talk about? What are some of the things that you do? So this is a credibility thing. This is an opportunity for them to sound off. It's curated, but this becomes your official brand. And this is really what your establishment should look like. And the biggest difference between that and the story is, to Joe's point, the story only stays around for 24 hours. It's ideal for engagement because it's typically a little bit more interactive. There's a bigger opportunity for people to listen to things because of the video element. When you get back onto the feed, it's a little more static. This is off the cuff. This is the stuff that you're just kind of doing on a whim. So, and that's okay, right? There is a time and place, excuse me, for the story version. It is important to understand shapes. And what I mean by the shapes is everybody should understand, hopefully geography a little bit, geometry, square, portrait, and landscape. And the reason that these are important is it's real easy for us to pick up our phone and take a picture. And I think we do that off the cuff frequently, but if we don't have that follow the plan for our social media activities, we can run into a little bit of challenge. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, it's important to understand how each platform works as it relates to the layout of whatever it is that you're creating. So if you're going to do posts and feeds, more static is going to be in a square environment. Stories are in more of a portrait environment, and events and things like what you signed up for with CDPE are in a little bit more of a landscape mode. So why is that important? Well, if I were to show you this picture that I took in San Pedro, this is in the LA Harbor area. If I am going to do a normal post compared to a story, believe it or not, I have the same challenge with the photo. And what's the challenge? The challenge is I'm not getting all of it in the screen. And for those of you who have ever tried to do a post, when you've taken a picture like this, what ends up happening is you have a space above or below or on the sides, and you have a hard time conforming it. Now, believe it or not, your phone has the ability to change the settings either way. You can either turn it sideways or vertical, or more importantly, you can change it to the square setting. The point I'm trying to make, though, is there's a little bit more thought process involved if you're getting ready to run an ad, as an example. That would be on the left-hand side. And that's how that works. What it looks like on your phone is this. This is exactly what a square image looks like compared to a story image. And you can see, all right, our phones are getting bigger, our screens are getting bigger. But more importantly, I think people, just like they are on Zillow and Redfin, for the most part, they stop and look at pictures before they read anything. Would you guys agree with that? Right? So when we look at the feed on the left-hand side, the whole idea for this particular setup is for us from our business page to be able to run boosts, advertising, create engagement, have the opportunity for people to share our posts, and more importantly, create a carousel. And a carousel is to have multiple images for people to flip through. The reason these things are important is because you have to understand what the audience is wanting to do and how your ad or your post is inviting them to do that. So Joe gave a great example of his YouTube channel. So he's got the whole video laid out. So one of the things I might say, Joe, is what if you set it up to where instead of your whole video plays, there's only a portion that plays first. And if they want to see the rest of it, they have to subscribe, right? Something like that. There's ways around, but I think that's the point. The point is what are we using to invite them to do whatever it is that we want them to do? So as an example, back to carousel, if I have 3 to 5 photos on my carousel, am I giving them notice that they should swipe left in order for them to see the next photo? And so you have to be thinking along the lines of keeping it simple for people, and you have to provide instruction for them because that's actually what they're looking for. When you get over to the story side, it's the same thing. It used to be when you did a story that you couldn't run any advertising. Now you can run advertising, but there's a lot more engagement for people. Now, I go through my Facebook feed a lot. My wife, Tammy, she just runs through the stories. But as soon as she finds a story from someone that she's interested in, she'll then go to their Facebook page to look a little deeper. So she's looking for the entertainment value first before she goes to and does a deep dive. And I'm kind of operating the same in a different way where I'm going through the feed. And why I'm expressing that to you is because you probably are going to need to do both. So let's just say you've got a brand new listing and you want to have engagement, you want people to see it, you want to be noticed. Setting it up the right way, the beauty of most of these platforms is you can do both while you're on the phone at the same time. I can create a post on the left-hand side that I can turn into a boost or an advertisement, and I can take that same information now, convert it over to a story so that I'm capturing both of the audiences between Brandon and Tammy. And so I know that sounds complicated, and the title of this was Simplified. The reason it's going to get simplified for you is to have a better understanding of what levers are getting people to engage, and ultimately, what do you want them to do? And that's the difference between these two. So boosted, if you're not familiar with this right now, if you were to go into Facebook and create a post on your personal page, you won't be allowed to do any of these two options. So the only way you're going to be able to run a boost or an ad is to do a post or a story on your business page. So I want to make sure everybody understands that first and foremost. The difference between the boost and the ad is that my goal, if my goal is to create engagement and shares and get people to like my page, then I'm going to spend a certain amount of money for a boost to just target a certain demographic or a certain area to create brand awareness. This is like running an ad in a newspaper, right? So it's really posting, not a lot of any ability to do anything else other than to create a bigger audience. On the advertising side, it still costs money, but what your options are really increases significantly. And so the goal when you're running an ad is to either get them to download something, install your app, website conversions, video views, shop orders, or more importantly, to lead capture is what we're really wanting them to do. So when you get into Facebook, you can actually create a post, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples here shortly. You can create a post that everybody that currently follows you sees. And what's cool about Facebook now, as an example, is once that's up and running, there's a button below it that says boost it. And you can boost it, and it takes you down this path of spending a little money to create a little bit of an audience and to get that message out there. Or you can take that same post and create an ad, which gives you a little bit more specifics on who your target audience is going to be. And the algorithms now between Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook are pretty significant. So you can actually spend less and get more exposure today than you used to. But those are the differences between running a boost and an ad. So if you want someone to buy in or opt into something, you want to run an ad. If you want to create brand awareness and exposure, you can run a boost. Now, we're going to talk about two different types of lead generation theory real quick. So we're going to spend less time now talking about your personal social, and we're going to talk about your business social. I would hope some of you want to get some type of a return for your efforts when you're posting on social media. So let's just say you're a landlord. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's say you're a property manager and you put a for rent sign up in the front window of a property, and it says 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, pool, big yard, $2,200 per month. Here's my phone number. In the chat, put a yes if this looks like the type of sign you would put in that window. Nobody's paying attention. Come on now. Nobody would do this? Okay. All right, fair. So can anyone tell me why they wouldn't do this? Someone's got to play. Come on. Not necessarily pictures. So there's 2 schools of thought on this. The first school of thought is that I want to create a filter. In other words, if there's someone looking to rent this home, but they can only afford $1,500 a month, guess what they're not doing? They're not calling me. So the idea is this creates a filter, believe it or not, by being specific to anyone reading the sign to make sure that if they can't afford it, or if this isn't the property they're looking for, that they're not wasting my time. Now, the other school of thought is this for rent sign. Please call. Here's my phone number for info. And what's the school of thought with this method? School of thought for this method is I want as many phone calls as I can, whether they can afford it or not. I'm doing lead gen heavy on this version. I'm not doing lead gen very heavy on this version. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, because this is what it looks like when a lot of agents that I see do their marketing on Facebook. What do you think the number one need most real estate agents are looking for today is? Do you think leads is up there? Leads in business. How many want some leads in business? Right? So my question to you is, if this is your marketing campaign on social media, and you know that 95% of everybody that's looking for a home is on some type of Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com platform, and you just gave them the information, why do they need you? Now, this is okay if you want to run a post and you're okay doing that. If you don't want the leads, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the difference between this type of an advertisement and this type of an advertisement. So hopefully you can see my goal here is to get people to call me, engage with me, or reach out to me. This you can run for free because this is a post you can put on your business page. This is not for free, and this becomes an advertisement. How many of you, put a yes or show of hands, are running Facebook ads right now? Can anyone share with me what they spend a week on Facebook ads? Anyone?
Okay, I guess I'll play. Nobody else is playing here.
That's okay. Thanks, Joe.
I started a bigger budget, then I went small, and then I just totally stopped Facebook ads. 99, 95 out of 100 ads are bad. And the time that, I'm very much set on managing my time, and going through 95 leads to get to 5 possible leads, to me wasn't worth it. And it was just a lot of bad information, wrong telephone numbers, everything else. So you have to weed through it. It takes a lot of time. If you have somebody who's working for you to weed through them, great, do it. Why not? It's cheap. But on the other end, if you're doing it yourself, it takes too much time.
And it can. And so how long ago was that you were doing that?
Oh, not that long ago. Within the last 6 months to a year, I stopped, I would say.
Okay. Have you seen the new forms that they have now, the long forms?
No.
So they have longer forms now, which causes the person to put in more valid information. So to your point, they either get frustrated and they go away anyway, or they continue down the path and they become a more quality lead. Right. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I think that's important to know. I wouldn't give up necessarily on Facebook, but I totally feel your pain.
Thank you.
Yep. Totally feel your pain. But I want everybody here to understand the difference between creating a call to action and just giving everybody the information. Now, do you guys know what new car syndrome is? New car syndrome is you decide that you want to buy a car. And so you're thinking about the kind of car you want to buy. And maybe you're shopping online and you're looking at different brands and you're looking at different colors and you're looking at different packages on each car. And then you go down to the car lot and inevitably you test drive a car, right? The whole idea, believe it or not, subconsciously is you're wanting something that's unique. You want a car that you don't see everywhere. Ironically, though, after you go through the pain and suffering of buying the car and you drive it off the lot, now all of a sudden you see that same car everywhere you go. That's called new car syndrome. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is the best way for you to learn to help make this simplified is to start checking out what other successful agents are doing or not doing. And you're going to see a common theme. And I'm telling you right now, the common theme that I see is when agents post like this, they're the first typically to complain that they have no leads. It's just a fact. To Joe's point, the conversion rate right now across the country is about 2%, maybe 1.8%, which means you need at least 50 people to say yes before you get, or at least opt in as a lead before you get to that person who might be a significant buyer. So you have to play the long game when it comes to lead generation to a certain degree. So who sees my poster feed? I think this is a good piece of information. I want you guys to realize the difference between how you grow your social media presence organically through boosting, advertising, or more importantly, how we use hashtags. When you post something organically, only your friends and the people who like your page or the people who follow you will see that post. So keep in mind, again, I've seen agents, especially newer, and don't take this the wrong way if you're newer, who get into the business, they post something, maybe it's an amazing post, but they only get 4 people who liked it. Well, ironically, they only have 150 people as friends too, or 150 people who like or follow their page. So you're not necessarily going to grow your audience organically. It takes time if you're going to do that. Boosting, your friends get to see it. The people who like and follow you get to see it, but you get to pick a targeted audience also to create some exposure for you and your business. When you advertise, it's all of the above. The difference is you can really fine tune and get creative about your target audience, meaning maybe it's people who are only looking for real estate. Hashtags are very similar. The difference is any hashtag that you use, not only will it be leveraged organically, but people that are searching the same hashtag. So I'm laying out a foundation again for you to simplify things. It's starting with working backwards. Who's your target audience? What is the message you want to convey? Will they read the message? Will they understand the message? Will it make sense to them? And are you inviting them to do anything else? You have to work backwards. And so now if I'm going to take the time and energy to post something, is it worth the extra 10 minutes to think through the strategy before I do it, before I get mad and say that this isn't working? Because that's what most agents do. Most agents want the easy button and they think that if I just run a $25 ad, 55 people are going to show up and want to buy a house, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. So organically and hashtags are free. Boosting and advertising is paid. And again, you can have a relatively easy budget when it comes to those things. So social media activity ideas. I want to get out of the red ocean, which is what I call the just listed, the just sold, the free home valuations. And I want to just give you some other ideas, because if you go back to how frequently you should be posting, did that seem daunting? or did that seem okay? Because if you take 3 that you're going to specialize in, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, there's a little bit of work there. I bet you there's 4 to 5 hours of work a week there, just practicing the social media. But here's the irony. The irony is that's where people are going to look at things. So you have to engage in that audience. That's a huge opportunity. So new listings don't have to be your listings. So there are rules around this. So pay attention to what your local board rules are. Price reductions, same thing, back on the market. Did you guys know that, believe it or not, even in this market, 30% of all residential homes that go under contract come back on the market? Video walkthroughs. If you go to YouTube as an example, there are people on YouTube, all they do are video walkthroughs of other people's listings, and they get a huge audience. So if you have a fear of video, I encourage you to get over it a little bit. Don't worry about it. People aren't judging you. Market updates. We talked about, I think that's probably an up and coming red ocean personally. I think a lot of people are doing market updates. Tips for buyers and sellers, testimonials. Hopefully you have some good ones. Your value proposition. Again, you can make a series out of these things. Blog posts, creating a poll, making sure you're using emojis, start using hashtags if you're not using hashtags. Make video happen no matter what. That is where it's going. I got market updates in there twice. Real estate news. People are headline readers like crazy right now. And the headlines that they read are creating the reactions that you and I get to feel in real estate every day. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Community. People are always looking for good community. On our business page, we started doing twice a week what's going on in the community stuff, and then running a boost as an example. We wanted nothing more than exposure. And we've gone from, I think we had 1,400 followers to about 2,800 followers in a year. So, I mean, that's good growth. Infographics, people don't necessarily want to read a lot today. They want to watch something. They want to get a snapshot of something. Quotes are always good. Giveaways are amazing. How-tos are great. Why you should hire me, incentives. So if you don't know what to say or do, here's a couple ideas for you. Now, how are you going to accomplish all of this? It seems a little daunting. Well, it depends on what type of person you are. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So I'm Keller Williams as well. I was at a leadership event in Austin a few months ago, and Jason Abrams, who is the third in line to Gary Keller, came on stage and he asked the same question. So depends on what type you are. So if you guys could write me a check today for $3,000 and wake up tomorrow with the body of your dreams, would you do that? Show of hands, yes, in the chat. If you could write me a check for $3,000 and wake up with the body of your dreams, would you do that? Okay. Or would you pay $40 a month for the next 2 years to work towards that body? How many of you would do that? So you'd be surprised how many people will pay for the outcome, but they don't want to pay for the journey. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are little things that we need and should be doing as it comes to, or as it relates to social media today. Most people want to pay for the outcome. Now, I'm not going to pick on you, Joe, because I love you, Joe. But if you want to pay for the outcome, I highly encourage you spend $10,000 a month on Zillow Premier. Because that's a lot of money that's getting thrown at the opportunity, right? If you want to go on the journey with us, then we've done a lot of everything that we've talked about with you today in the advanced marketing program. And I'm going to share that with you in a second. Now, as a business owner, I've personally done a lot of research, and I love anybody on this call who would want to share this with me. It is a numbers game, and it does cost us money to be in business. Now, when it comes to buying leads or lead generation in a social media environment or in an online environment, I have found a few things to be true so far. The amount of money that you do spend is relative to the money that you get in return. It's typically 8 to 10% of your GCI. So if you want to look at people who, as an example, who are making $1 million a year in GCI, I guarantee you they have an $85,000 to $100,000 a year budget and lead generation purchase. And that's a big budget. That's probably more than most real estate agents make on an average. So what happens in this business is if I go back to, I'm going to spend $25 a week running a Facebook ad. Can you get traction out of that? 100%. $25 a week for 50 weeks is how much money? Anybody good at math? Nobody's good at math? Come on, somebody's got to be paying attention. All right, I'll help you out. It's $1,250. So based on the math I just told you, if I spend $25 a week and $1,250 on lead gen, my expected GCI return is going to be $12,000. So do you want to be in the business to make $12,000 a year? Probably not. So it is a numbers game. What I will tell you though, is that when you get good at marketing and you get good at people engaging and following, you don't have to spend as much money. The numbers that Joe just gave us on his YouTube channel, like that's amazing. Those are awesome numbers of people watching videos. So then the question becomes, and again, I don't mean to pick on you, Joe, but this is a great example of how much money and time have you spent creating those great videos? And at some point, right, you expect somebody to pick up the phone and go, hey, I want to list my $1 million home with you. Am I wrong? Right?
No, you're not wrong. I actually have somebody that does all the cutting and the editing. So it's just, I mean, we do a half-hour show once every 2 weeks. It gets cut into clips, and then everything's edited out and it goes out there. So I've gotten business from it. Nothing exactly what I want right now. I want
Right.
to work more business, obviously. That's why I'm
Right.
watching the show. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So what I would say is there are going to be some things that you do, guys, that's just brand awareness, that's just name recognition, that's just a value add. And sometimes it's going to be hard to quantify a return on that unless you go a certain length of time. And that's the same thing with anybody that's been in the business. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've closed over 3,900 transactions. Like, I get it. And I remember the days of a farm, and it was all about the postcard, the message, and how many you sent out. And man, that's really expensive these days, right? But we've had such a market that's been somewhat so easy. We haven't had to spend any money. And for some reason, we've got this mindset that we don't have to do anything or spend any time and energy doing it the right way. We want to just throw it out there and hope things that happen. And so now what I would say to you, Joe, is what could we do from a marketing perspective to drive more people there and make sure that message, the importance of subscribing to you is what? Give me an answer. Why do you want more subscribers on YouTube?
Well, first it was originally to get business, and then also obviously you can start making money from YouTube as well, which
Yep.
is nice residual income coming in if we could get those. But the 40,000, 50,000 views are all from Instagram clips. And
that
they're
crazy?
not converting on to YouTube to followers.
Right. And that's because we probably don't have enough people going to YouTube looking to you. They're using those other channels like Instagram to get there to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should probably talk a little bit more. I have a couple ideas for you. So maybe we have a separate conversation.
Thank you.
I want this to resonate, guys. I want you to understand that your perspective of how you run business and your expectations are a direct result of what you're currently doing. Now, I will tell you how difficult it is to come up with ideas consistently and content consistently. It's not an easy thing, especially if you want to hit all of the channels in all of the various ways that you can hit those channels. But I want you to have some buy-in and some ownership that this should be a daily, if not weekly, routine for you moving forward in your business, because this is what people are looking for. So hopefully we're all on the same page there. Now,
Hey, Brandon, can I jump in real quick?
please.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're sharing. Just something that I've always taught in any class when I'm speaking on the topic of social media, and that is, I have my very strong opinions, but when it came to social media, I went through a phase where I was sharing with everyone my political position, and I would get into arguments and everything else. And I realized that, maybe I was winning a battle here and there, but I was losing the war. So I'm very apolitical when it comes to my social media. I don't go into that. Social media for me is for one thing and one thing only, and that is to generate business and build my business and my income. So if you're that kind of person that's really using it, understand that for every person you attract, you lose one person if it's like that. The other thing is to also lighten up and be human. I can tell you right now, I'll post something right on my personal page about one of my classes. I may get 1 like, maybe 2 likes. You know what? I got a ton of likes the other day when I was just having some fun. And I went ahead and said, hey guys, I'm thinking about changing my profile picture. And my wife had done 2 different photos of me, one with long straight hair, like Pulp Fiction, and one like who knows whatever. And I got so many comments and so many likes and everything, because it's like people see you as a human being, not just you're a realtor and every single post you have has to do with real estate.
Yeah.
Last but not least, content. It's amazing. Like, for example, Joe, you got this show. I'm sure dimes to donuts right now that it's about real estate. Why don't you have an expert on, I don't know, distressed properties on your show? You know what I'm thinking? And it's amazing how we don't leverage the resources that are available. If you are targeting an audience of real estate people, if you're a CDPE and you have a decent audience and all that, and you need 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of great content, I'll give it to you. Invite me on as a panelist on your show, for crying out loud.
Well, actually, I was thinking about inviting somebody else on, which would be myself, to talk about CDPE, not you, but I was going to do the show. And the problem is, and this is no offense to anybody who does real estate shows, it's boring as hell. Nobody wants to sit there and listen about real estate and mortgage rates for 15 to 30 minutes. So we learned that. And what we did is we shifted to the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the show is about real estate and mortgages. And then we just take it on to a totally different Netflix special, sports. We cover everything else.
Oh.
And those clips are what's pulling people in. Those little jokes here and there that pull them in and get the most amount of views to then hopefully have them watch the whole real estate mortgage shows. Because there's only so much, honestly, guys, this is no bullshitting. There's only so much you could talk about real estate before somebody falls asleep after 5 minutes. So
Joe, I yes and no. And what happens is maybe you're trying to serve 2 masters. And what happens is maybe people don't, you're giving a mixed message and they don't quite know, are you a real estate guy or are you doing everything else? So I understand that sometimes real estate shows can be like watching paint dry, but it all comes to who's delivering the information and maybe keeping them to separate topics and shorter times and all that. But maybe what you want to do is make sure that you're getting the message across that you are a real estate agent, a real estate professional, and that's what you're seeking. Just my opinion. But Brandon, go ahead, take it back to you.
No, I love it. And I want to actually continue a conversation with Joe maybe at another time, because I think it's useful for all of us. There's nothing worse than being a real estate agent, reading to things, listening to webinars, trying to figure out the secret sauce, when it just comes back down to having a plan and being somewhat authentic. I think, Tony, you hit the nail on the head. It has to be a balance between who you are as a person. I think at the end of the day, all of you would like to attract business that fits you, that you want, not necessarily business that you need. And so all of those things are a blend. But I'm telling you right now that if you don't have the right content, if you don't have the right message, sometimes it's just not going to get the return that you're expecting, whether it's the engagement or people picking up the phone and calling you, right? So one of the challenges back to content is exactly what the CDP Advanced Marketing Kit is about. Every month, you're going to get a different campaign that has a different topic, but more importantly, you're getting all of the assets. We call these the deliverables. If you want to look at those bullet points, this is the easy button when it comes to content ideas and what you can use as a lever moving forward. So if you're worried about how I do all of this stuff, you get a calendar. There's a calendar, and on that calendar, I'll show you real quick here in a second, what day, if you got an assistant, you got an admin, you got a virtual assistant, this is the roadmap that they need in order to make these things happen, and you don't have to worry about it. You got a digital magazine, you get a flyer that's a generic version, you get a flyer that's customizable. All of these things that are customizable in a free account in Canva. You get a report. Report is what we call a lead magnet. I'm going to show you what that is real quickly. You're going to get 7 different social media posts with the copy and the hashtags per post. So you know what you need to do, simple copy and paste. You get an email template that you can deliver every month to your sphere of influence or your database. Some of us are still doing handwritten notes. We have texting templates, video templates. If you don't know what to say in a video, there's a template for it. There's instructions on how to download a teleprompter so that you can look like you're talking naturally and you just go through the script. Postcard templates, letter to sphere, press releases, blog posts. So there's a lot of levers here for you to take advantage of. Now, something that we've learned historically is even though this is a lot of content, not every agent uses each one of these resources because you're only going to fall in love with a few. And that's great. We just want you to master 3 to 5 of these things and get really good at it. What I want you to understand, back to our previous conversation about the numbers, this is still a numbers game. If you have 100 people in your database, you're a little bit more limited than the person that has 1,000 people in their database. So back to the plan, how can I use something like this to get more people in my database? And that's the difference in social media. It's what are you doing? Are you boosting? Are you running an ad? What are you asking them to do? And what path are you leading them down? Because we're giving you something that you don't have to think about other than how you're going to make it happen in social media. I know you guys want more leads. I know you guys want, right, to get your contacts to call you. But I will tell you it's about the message. And there's nothing worse than sending out emails to people and having them unsubscribe. Why do you guys unsubscribe to something? Message is irrelevant, too many emails. I don't know who this person is, right? We can go on and on and on and on. So your information is critical. For those of you keeping track like we do, I'm telling you right now, our open rate just on our emails is over 70%. That's great. That's a great open rate. So the next question should be what? How many people clicked to go somewhere where I wanted them to go? Did they call me? What was my message? I've done this so long, you guys. I'm telling you right now, there's not a lot of thought after somebody sends an email about what they want to have happen. And so this is the importance of social media, because what'll happen is if you're not getting any return or response, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to think it sucks and it doesn't work, and it does. What I want you to know is that you're part of the equation. Your ability to learn from what's going on to help you get to the next level is extremely critical. Just like our kit, the feedback, we want the feedback. We need the feedback. Whatever we can do to make your lives better and get the phone to ring, we want that. We want to help that happen. So if we have 2 variations of our business where we're nurturing people and we're prospecting for new business, if you want to screenshot this or if you want to come back and watch the recording, all of the tools in the monthly kit, this is how you use them. If you want to nurture, you're going to use everything in the left-hand column. If you want to prospect, you're going to use everything in the right-hand column. So I don't want us to have to like overthink it, but I want us to be able to understand how important these assets can be for you on a lot of different levels. I need to be delivering good information. I need to be delivering quality information. I need to be delivering valuable information. If you're a distressed property expert, your audience is not necessarily who you think it is. Your audience, sometimes we think of only the person who's in a distressed situation. Your audience is bigger than that. Because if your audience is bigger than that, one of those persons in that audience is probably inevitably going to run across somebody in a distressed situation. And we want you to be the brand and the person and the business that they think of. And the only way to do that is through consistent marketing efforts. So we've kind of talked a little bit about that quite a bit. If you're currently a CDPE member, Robert, I see your text, buddy. We're working on that. So if you're currently a member, this is what your dashboard looks like. What's really cool is you have a library of resources in there from every month's past. If you're not CDP advanced yet, you'll get access to all of this, and you can pick and choose whichever message that you want for your campaign, which is amazing. This is an example of the past themes since January. This will just give you a good idea of the quality of our campaign, the message. And I'm telling you right now, we're trying and have been setting these up to help you with that lead generation. In other words, we're not running, here's the property address, here's the price, here's how many bedrooms and baths. We're giving them the teaser with the headline, and we want you to finish the path, either a direct message to you, and that's all part of the implementation guide that you get with your kit. So pretty cool stuff. Again, we're looking for feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. This is what the calendar looks like. So if you're not quite sure what to do, the first of every month, you get an email notification that your kit is available. And this is our recommended strategy for getting that information out. So for those of you that like a calendar view, this is good for you. If you want a list view, this is a list view for you. So you have a couple different ways that you can print this out and take a peek at what should I be doing and should I calendar it out. Lead magnets. Our kits are designed for a lead magnet. One of the ideas behind a lead magnet is you want to offer something free of value to someone, and you want them to sign up or subscribe, or more importantly, opt in for whatever reason. An example of that, this is our August report. This is a 4-page PDF report that you can customize with your name and information on it, and this becomes the lead magnet. So when you go back to a social post as an example, you get the opportunity to ask for their information for them to be able to download this report. That's one way you can do this. And this is what it would look like. This is a preview of the ad. And the ad would, again, this is copy and pasted right from the template we provide you. But more importantly, if you look at the lower hand button, it's a learn more. Here's the tricky part. You have to make a decision. Do you want them to get this report emailed to them? Do you want them to go to your blog? Do you want them to go to your website to get this? Do you want them to request it somehow? Do you want to be an instant download? Those are the things that we can't necessarily help you with, but we've set this up for any of those lead levers to happen for you. So you just need to make sure that you're thinking about the end result before you go down this path. What is it you want them to do? Catherine, let's do a one-on-one call with you as well. I want to make sure that that is working correctly for you. And Tony, maybe we need to do more of an instructional version, maybe a step-by-step of a few of these items on how to get it set up. Now, I do believe, and Jeanette's on here, I do believe we do have a recording in your library on how to do the blog already, how to set the blog post up. Because I think this can get a little overwhelming when you see all of these things and you're not quite sure what to do with them. That's why I really want to emphasize you have to have kind of the end in mind, but you also have to have a good idea of what the assets are that you're getting. If you do open houses, what is it that you want them to do? Do you want to give them the pricing sheet and all the information right out of the gate without collecting their name and information? Right. So as an example, if I were in an open house, and again, I don't want to upset however you guys do your open houses. I'm just telling you how we do it. We don't print flyers. We have our flyers digitally. And when you ask for a flyer, I always say, hey, Debbie, you know what? I just happen to be out of flyers, but I have a digital version. What's your cell number? And I'll text it to you right now. And guess what I've got? Now I have Debbie's cell phone number. So we're struggling with getting contacts in our database, and we're struggling with getting people to opt in. And the rule of thumb is you want them to opt into anything, you have to have permission. And by me asking Debbie for her cell number and she gave it to me, now she just opted in. And that's just an example of how, now the question is, what do you do with that phone number? Do you put it in something? Do you put it somewhere, right? So it's important to understand that. All right, we're out of time. So if you're not an advanced member, Tony and Jeanette are running a special today. We didn't spend any time on the advanced website. There's another video for that. We can do that at another point, but you're going to get the blog posts, the social media posts, everything that we just described. The sign up and setup today is $157. There's a promotional code. So when you scan the QR code, it'll go to the CDP Advanced Registration website. You can put in the CDPE 157 promotional code and you'll get that discount. And then I'm going to put in the chat my email. I want to make sure you guys have this so that we can coordinate any questions or concerns with the CDP Advanced. So Robert, I know I owe you a phone call. Joe, I definitely want to talk with you. Catherine will get caught up as well. Tony, there you go. Tony put in the chat, or Jeanette put in the chat, the YouTube channel for all the previous instructional videos.
Yeah,
Yes.
Brenda, let me jump in. Yeah, please use the resources. If you're an advanced member, in your dashboard, when you go in the back end, every time we do an advanced training like this, that gets added automatically for you. But all of you can access them on our YouTube channel. I just went ahead and posted a link to that playlist because we have done, I think, 6 or 7 other trainings already on different aspects of how to use the program, how to enhance your website. Not to mention there's some great videos behind the scenes as well. I think one of the challenges is there's so much going on that you that have the advanced program maybe haven't really taken the time to go into the back office and look at all of the available how-tos and resources that are available for you there. Okay. There's a question here. Am I going to California? I do have a couple of events scheduled in California. A broker is bringing me out to teach the class live and in person in Monrovia, California on October 20th. And I believe I'm also scheduled to be in Oakland, California at a NAREB conference on the 18th. But as we get closer to those, we'll make those known as well. So, and just kind of wrapping up, for those of you that are not advanced members, I get emails all the time. People say, I'm close to, I know it's a commitment, right? None of us is going to say that 197 isn't real money. But I also know what you're getting. And when you put in perspective the bundle and the value of everything that you're getting, nothing comes remotely close to it. So I just tell people, look, find a way. You know, one of the things I do when I want to spend somebody and money and I don't want to have to ask my wife permission, I go ahead and I cancel something else that I was doing that was kind of spending the same amount. I go, look, honey, I signed up for this and it's not really costing us any money because I was spending that anyway. Works for me, folks. Don't judge me. So at the end, we just want you to have the tools that are available to you to go ahead and get out there. Some other things just real quick. Remember, a week from today, we're going to have the members only training. We're going to have lead generation. We're going to talk about how you can do lead generating with AI. The other great news is after waiting for so long, the first CDPE class in Espanol is coming up live and in person here in Davie, Florida in October. So we're going to probably be scheduling that across the country as well, as far as also doing it in the online on demand. I think that does it for now. This here will be available later on this afternoon. I first go ahead and load it up to YouTube. If you are a subscriber, which you should be, then you're going to get notified every time we get a new video and put that on there. So go to that page and subscribe. Any other thing you want to go ahead and share, Brandon, before we wrap up?
No, I just want to remind you guys, work backwards. What do you want to have happen? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to email you? Just think backwards because you have the assets now to set you up for that. Just remember, what is the outcome you want, and make sure you have your call to action. Don't forget to ask for the sale ever.
All right, everyone. Well, listen, thank you so very much for tuning in. Brandon, great job as always. I want to give a shout out, aloha to my good friend, John Riggins over there in Hawaii. So first time I got a chance to go out there was thanks to you, buddy. So thank you for coming back. And as you can see, the what do you call it? The group, the community continues to grow. And folks, they're out there. People need help. Go out there, engage them. All right. Thank you so much. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.